the Republicans won in Virginia. Now, they did lose in New Jersey, they lost some other races, but they did win the gubernatorial race in Virginia. And you'll note that for the most part, and there are clearly some exceptions, their whole narrative about the fact that elections don't actually work because the Democrats just steal everything seems to have gone away in this very narrow case for the most part. Now, we can understand that, we can try to figure out what's going on. Others are getting, I think, a little bit ahead of themselves. So I saw this tweet from Brian Stelter. It is quoting from a Zachary Wolf article on CNN that says, here's one thing everybody can be happy about. The election results, for the most part, are not being questioned. That may have a lot to do with Republicans doing well, but the results should prove to them that Trump's voter fraud myth is in fact a myth. And that is just so lazy and so pathetic. Every bit of that, Dan, is either not going to happen or is glossing over the obvious explanation for what's going on.
It just feels like real Chris Cillizza hours all over again. Winners and losers, the real winner tonight was American democracy. It's just like, come the hell on. Like we know, and CNN was bearing the brunt of all of this. Brian Stelter had to like roll his eyes and grimace through interview after interview after interview, as did everyone on CNN, who we just spent the previous segment like criticizing pretty heavily here. But this idea that the election, the results in 2020 were manufactured, was used as another like culture war issue to excite Trump voters. And just like any culture war issue that can be used to excite voters, the Republican Party will continue to milk that until it becomes completely culturally unacceptable, and even for a couple decades after that. And so the idea that one single election, one single off-year election, one in the same year, oh my God, in the same year, not even like 11 months after the Capitol insurrection, that nope, it looks like we're not gonna have any of these other ideas about voter fraud being in, like, it's all gone. Republicans are sane again. We've all come back to the table. And guess what? Joe Biden did what he was elected to do, which was, end all the bad stuff and make it so we don't have to think about politics anymore and left-right unity. It's this fantasy world that they are living in that unfortunately we have to live in because other people listen to them from their like tall perches.
Yeah, no, Biden restored the soul of the nation. It's just so like the results should prove to them that Trump's voter fraud myth is in fact a myth. Like that's a fine aspirational thing that has nothing to do with anything. Like, yeah, Ali Alexander's like, well, I guess the steal was stopped. I guess I don't have to do this anymore. Who the hell thinks that? Look at the glossing over. That may have a lot to do with Republicans doing well. Do you think it has something to do with whether they win the elections or not? And by the way, as I alluded to in the intro, it doesn't even have 100% to do with that, because before Zachary Wolf pressed enter to submit his article, Trump had already gone on a radio show to say that them winning Virginia proved it had been stolen in 2020. You think they can't find a way to turn a win into proof that the elections are stolen? And that's the one that they actually won. They lost narrowly in New Jersey. I'm sure they'll move on. I mean, after all, they've learned so much. Oh, wait, no. Christy Swanson, least of all the Buffys, tweeted, you all need to be analyzing this speech from last night. Play it in slow-mo. Study the body language as he speaks, the facial expressions, the licking of the lips. It's also over the top and so obvious. Pay close attention, people. He is in steal mode. So that is who will continue to be governor of New Jersey, who just won in a narrow race. I thought they learned, Zachary Wolf and Brian Stelter. No, because a Democrat won, again, they stole. And how do we know that? Well, they've got a lot of evidence. Just look at his lips. That's all you need to know. I can't wait for the court case to adjudicate how much he licked.
I just have one note for Christy Swanson. Your analysis needs to be better than swiper no swiping. Because it needs to be better than like pointing out to the TV, that guy looks like the bad guy. Look, he's getting ready to do something evil, because if a 3-year-old can do it, if my like young like nephew can do it, then it's probably like not like political analysis you can stick with. Just think about that.
Not. Well, she was able to do it apparently at the hospital, racked with COVID. She was still able to grind that out. But But anyway, look, I don't think that she's necessarily one of the primary thought leaders on the right, but for all we know, she'll be a Republican congresswoman in a year. But we do know that 82% of Fox News viewers, as well as 97% of OAN viewers, believe that Trump's stolen election claims are true. I don't know, maybe integrate that into your claims about the fact that Youngkin won, they're gonna move on and embrace democracy again. Or how about this, a recent poll, this was a Public Religion Research Institute. They found that people who most trust far-right news, 40% of them say that true American patriots might have to resort to violence in order to save our country. I don't know, maybe those people are not going to rush back into a respect for the Constitution and the rule of law just because Youngkin pulled out a win by a couple percentage points. But what do I know? I don't get paid $600,000 a year to work at CNN. Any final thoughts?
Minimum.
Minimum, yes. Oh my God, when I think about what Cillizza probably gets paid.
For more political news breakdowns, interviews, stories of activism, and me trying my hardest to care about the occasional big celebrity news story, subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/The Damage Report. And you can ring the bell wherever it is so you don't miss anything.